Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our session. So my name is Nikki Kimball. I'm one of the educational consultants here at Just2easy, and you are here for the Just2easy Parent Portal and j2journal demo. So we've got a busy session as always. We are going to finish by 4:15. That's what I'm aiming for. If you have any questions as we go along, please feel free to add them to the chat. I have that open on my second screen, so I will intermittently look over and just double check that nobody's asked any questions. You might need to wait for me to pay attention to my chat, but I will answer them at some point. I'll also do a Q&A session at the end as well. So if you've got any other questions that you need to ask me, you can ask me then. Now, in terms of what we're going to look at in today's session, as I said, we're going to focus on Parent Portal and j2journal. So I thought we'd start off with j2journal, which is the newest tool to our tool suite. So we'll kick off with that. And then we'll look at the Parent Portal. So j2journal sits, it can be used on its own, but it also sits within the Parent Portal and provides visibility for your parents to be able to see what's going on in class, what the students are doing, and kind of showcasing their best pieces of work. So as part of the Parent Portal demo, I'm going to show you how to set up your school's Parent Portal and personalising your Parent Portal settings, because there are a huge number of settings now. We've added to those, so you can really personalise the Parent Portal for your particular school. Then I'm really going to focus on the parents' view of the portal. So I'm going to show you what the Parent Portal looks like for parents. I'm going to show you how to message using J2 Message, viewing j2journal through the portal, J2 Stars, J2 Homework, uploading work as a parent, and also the class blog. We won't spend too much time on that, but J2 Webby, and then the teacher view. So I'm going to show you how to use J2 Message to message parents, and then questions at the end. So we have got a huge amount of content to get through. So first up, we're going to look at j2journal. As I said, this is a brand new tool. We only launched this in June. And already it's changed quite significantly as a direct result, actually, of feedback from our school. So we always welcome feedback from any of our teachers. So if you look at the journal and you start using it and you think, I want it to do this, that, or the other, you can just email us and we will try where possible to fit that in if we can. So it's a brand new tool and it allows teachers and students to collate evidence in a digital portfolio or a journal. You can create folders to segregate the work, and that can be used to sort and filter as the year goes on. You can comment and review, and also the parents and the pupils can comment as well, and the pupils can submit content to be included on the journal. It's visible via the Parent Portal if you want it to be. And you have full authority over the journal. So as a teacher, you have to publish comments and journal submissions from pupils and comments from parents before they're visible on the whole journal. So you retain that kind of power over what gets seen and what doesn't. And also, and this is brand new, JIT and J2 Create. So J2 Create, if you don't know, is the brand new name for J2E5. So if those of you are thinking we've got another new tool, it's not. J2E5 is now called J2 Create. So both of those tools now offer a publish to journal feature. So they have a button that you and your students can press that will submit files directly to journal. So that's really handy. So let's have a look at how we can use journal. So from my launchpad, we're going to go to journal, and I'm going to show you a published journal, and then I'll show you how to create your own. So you can see here we've got our 3 different classes. So I'm going to click on P1 just to show you a pre-populated journal. So you can see here it's a nice feed of different pieces of work. So this really is designed to showcase the best pieces of work. So teachers and pupils can submit content from their My Files to be published to the journal. So it is really best. It's like your digital display board. It's your best pieces of work. And you can see here as we sort of scroll down, we've got various children listed in the left-hand side. There we go. We can see we've got a comment button, You've also got this seen by, so if you are using it as part of the parent portal, if you choose to, you will have full visibility over whether a parent has seen it and which parent has seen it. You can see we've added a date. Students can submit content for themselves. So if I scroll down here, we can see Harley is listed here. So because there's no teacher listed on the right-hand side, I can see that it's Harley that has submitted this piece of content by himself. Whereas if I scroll up a little bit, and Rosie is listed here, and then we've got a teacher in the right-hand corner, that shows me that the teacher has submitted on Rosie's behalf. And then lastly, we've also got Rosie plus one more. So that shows me that multiple students have been tagged against this piece of work. As a teacher, I can click on the one more, and that's going to show me which students have been tagged. Now, parents and pupils will not be able to see that. That is a teacher only aspect, but they will see Rosie plus one more, but when they click there, nothing will happen. So you retain that kind of e-safety. There won't be showcasing any other display names to anybody else other than teachers. Now, teachers will have full visibility over all journals in school. So that's very handy. So even if you're teaching in a different class, if you've got a teaching assistant that is posting on your behalf, they don't have to be included in that class, because they can, as a teacher, they can submit content to any of these journals. So that's really handy as well. So let's have a look at how we can create our own journal. So we're going to click this big button that says New Journal, funnily enough, and then you would select a class out of your list. So journals are only visible to those that are included in that journal. So for example, if I select class 1, only pupils in class 1 will be able to see this journal from the pupil side. Okay, so you would select your class. You can choose a registration class, or you can choose a teaching class if you're using those smaller groups of students. I'm not going to show you how to set up teaching classes. There is a video on our YouTube channel if that is something that you want to do. But I'm going to select class 1. And then you can name that class. So it could be anything. It could be class 1, it could be dolphin class, it could be, I don't know, Miss Kimball's class, whatever it is that you want to call it. It doesn't have to be the same as the registration name if you don't want it to be. And then we click create. So now all students in that class 1 will be able to see this journal. So it's empty at the moment, so it is prompting you to add in some content. So you can either click here, or this is the button that you would use once there is content. So we'll click here, and then it's going to bring me to this optional page. Now, again, this has changed since June, and as a direct result of some feedback that we had off a teacher who wanted to be able to contextualize a journal entry. So you don't have to add here, but it might be that the title might be, I don't know, English lesson. And then you might write a description. So today we looked at the hungry caterpillar as our class text. So that just helps to contextualize that particular activity. Then you would click add file. Now, if you don't want to add these, you don't have to. You can just go straight to the add file button. Now, as a teacher, you have slightly more functionality. In that, as a pupil, they would only have access to their My Files area, but as a teacher, you have access to also the pupil files, so you can submit on a child's behalf. So it's really useful if you are teaching lower down the school, or if you've got less able students, or maybe you want to add a collection of pieces of work that multiple students have created. So you can dip into their pupil files and add those as a group effort. We've also got the option to add photos, audio and video directly in. So this is also a useful activity if you are an early years colleague, because you can take photos of activities that are going on in class. You don't have to take them and save them to My Files and then upload them. You can take them live into the journal. So you can use those 3 buttons. You can add links, so that's useful maybe if you've got something, maybe a website that they were all looking at, or a video that they all looked at, and then some linked work. You've got your My Files area, so obviously you can dip into that and choose work, and you can upload from external sources. So maybe they've created I don't know, maybe you've saved some photos to your school server. Maybe they've created something using another software. I don't know why you would. Of course, there's going to be other softwares that you are using, so you can upload content from other places. So that is an option. But I'm going to show you how to add from a pupils file. So I'm going to click, and then it's going to prompt me to choose one of those children in my class. So let's have a look at Harry. So here we go. We've got some reading aloud. I can use my search button, so I'm not sure if he's got anything about caterpillar. Oh, here we go. The very hungry caterpillar. There you go. So we can click OK. I can add file, and I can dip into another child. So as I said, maybe they're doing some group work. Maybe they were working on separate files on different devices. Lottie's not going to have anything on caterpillars, is she? Mini Beast, there we go. So she can use that. And there we go. So then I can click next. Now I tag the children that were involved. So obviously I'm going to tag Harry because it was out of his file. I'm going to tag Lottie, there she is. And it might be that Bobby was involved, but he didn't have any saved work. So you can tag multiple children. You can tag yourself in it, but don't worry, you'll still have full visibility even if you don't tag yourself in it. And you've also got the all pupils option. So you can click that, and that is going to tag all the children. That's a handy way of doing it. If most of the children were involved, you can click that, and then you can deselect any students that were absent or weren't involved in the work, for example. So that's useful. And then we click next. Now at this point you can structure your folder structure. So these folders are really useful if you're doing, certain areas of the curriculum. So you might have an English folder, you might have a World Around Us folder, and we might have a maths folder, for example. And I'm going to add science in there because we did some science. There we go. And you can make those different colors as well. You can rename these folders at any point. So we can click on this little button here, and you can delete those as well. And then we add the item, and there we go. That has added. You can see there is the description. We've got the title. So this is our English lesson. I can click on that, and it's going to open up that particular folder. Now I need to switch my emails off because I've got all my notifications set up. So this is an animation, so you can play any of the content that the kids have created. We can listen to anything, we can look, and that is a pictogram, so it's full functionality. I think for parent it's view only. I'm pretty sure for a pupil it's view only as well, because this is almost like a showcase of finished pieces of work, so you don't want the children then changing it once they've gone into journal, so it will be view only. You have the option as well, once you've posted to the journal, you've got these 3 dots along the bottom right here. So that is how you'd edit anything. So you might want to edit. I forgot to add a folder, so I'm going to edit the folders. I'm going to say it was English, and we also did science because we were looking at mini beasts. And that's added those folders there, you can see, and I can click on that, and that's showing me which folders were involved. But you can edit things like the date, the users that are involved, you can edit the content, or you can delete that journal entry completely. In terms of the folders as well, for the whole journal, you can also, this is brand new, you've got the create edit folders option. So we've added that in the last couple of weeks. So that if you realize that you haven't got a folder that you needed, you don't have to go into the journal to add it, which you did before. You can add or edit them there. You've got the option to comment as well, so we can add a comment. So we could say, I don't know, great work, students, and I can hit tick, and that is going to post that, so that will be visible for my students. I should have done this before, but I'm out of practice clearly. So I'm just going to log in as Lottie, just to give you visibility over what Lottie can see. There we go. So for the students to be able to see that, they would click on their journal. 2 class ones, that wasn't very good. That was the wrong class one. There we go. So this is the journal that we've just created. And you can see Lottie has the option to add new, so she can add some content herself. That is the same format, follows exactly the same. She can look at any of these pieces of work. There you go. So that is view only, so she can't change anything. She can play it, but she can't change anything. And she can comment. So if we click comment, that will stay as pending. And also if she adds a new piece of work, that will stay pending as well until it's been authorized by a teacher. So that is what the journal looks like for the pupils. If I just refresh that page, you can see I've got in the review box, we've got a nice purple number. And also if I go to the journal, it will show on the front screen that there is something waiting for review. So we can click in that and we can click that review there. And that's showing me that comment. If there was pieces of work, that would show down here in the pieces of work area. I can click approve. If there's multiple comments, multiple submissions, there will be a approve all button as well. So that's quite handy. So we just click approve and then go back to class 1. I don't know why those comments aren't showing, but there they are. So there we can see the comments that come in live. Now you can switch on or off the parental commenting. So some schools like it, some schools don't. So that is an optional extra. So that is journal. That's how to add, that's how to create a journal, add to a journal. As I said, pupils will only see the journals that they're added to. So if we could just go back to Lottie's account here. So she has these 2 class 1s. Obviously, you would normally name them differently. But if we look, this is Lottie's other class 1. So she can submit to each journal if she wants to. My recommendation personally would be to keep the journals as few as possible. So maybe just for those, groups of 30, your registration classes, because what you don't want is the kids ending up with 10 journals and not knowing which one they're posting to. So if they just have one, they know that they can click in it and just add some content. Keeps it a bit simpler for the children. So that is how to create j2journal, and I will just showcase this. So let's open up a JIT file. I'm going to open up an existing file. So let's go for a pupil file. Here we go. So nice squirrel. You do have this button here that says publish to journal. So you and all the students can click on that. It's going to ask you which journal you want to post to. And again, this is why I would suggest just keeping it very simple for the students. Just add them to 1 journal or 2 at a push, because what you don't want is a nice long list for them. And then we click class 1, click OK, and it will pre-populate that. Then they just need to click next. You tag the students, add the folders, and then add the file. And that is added to your journal. Okay, so that button features both in JIT, and also you'll see this is a J2 create file. That is the publish to journal button in J2 create. Okay, so we're going to switch over to Parent Portal now. So the Parent Portal allows parents access to have visibility over their child's account, or certain aspects of their child's account. Okay. So this is what the Parent Portal looks like. So I'm just going to pop this here. So this is what the Parent Portal looks like. So you can see the student, so their child's name. You can link multiple children to the same Parent Portal account. So it's unlike our competitors where you have a separate login for each child. The parents can switch and they will have their however many children they have in school logged into the same account. And you can see they've got full visibility over how many outstanding homework tasks there are. If you're using J2 stars, they will see how many stars have been awarded. They can click here to access the homework. They can click here to access journal. They can click here to upload files, and here to see J2 Webby, which is a bit of a legacy tool. So we won't talk too much about that, but they do have access to that. And then we've also got the messaging service. So that just shows you what the Parent Portal looks like. But first off, we'll talk about how you can personalize the parent portal and then how we can add parents to the parent portal. So personalizing the parent portal is done through dashboard, and that's where we add the parents as well. So from my launchpad, you'll have J2 dashboard as a tile. So this is a teacher only tile or an admin tile. Okay, so pupils won't have access to this. So we click in J2 dashboard. That will take us straight to the setup page. So for the parent portal settings, if we just scroll down, and for those of you that have been using the parent portal for a little while, you'll probably notice that we've really expanded a lot of these options. So previously it was just switch the portal on and allow messaging or not. And again, we've taken this from advice from schools who've suggested, they want certain things put in place. So we're always open to suggestions. So the parent portal, even if that's ticked and you decide not to use the parent portal, you just want to use journal, you can use that without the parents having access. That is a standalone tool as well. But the parents do need to be invited. So even if this is switched on, don't worry, you don't need to switch it off, because they need to be invited either by email or by QR code to access the portal anyway. Then you've got allow teachers to message parents. So if you don't want to be using the messaging service at all, you can switch that off, and that will revoke all access to messaging completely. You can switch it on. You can also switch parental messaging off. So you might just want that as a one-way messaging service from teacher to parent. Some schools do want the parents messaging back. Now, I will say I don't know if we've got any Aberdeenshire, Perth and Kinross schools from Scotland, but I will say this is a blanket switch off as part of your DPIA. So you're not allowed to. I'm sorry. But for those of you from other areas, you may want to consider the parents messaging back. You've also got the option, so you'd switch that on if you want parents messaging back. You do have the option to configure. So for those of you that are joining us certainly from bigger schools, 2 formentary schools, you might not want all of the parents being able to message any of the teachers, including the principal or the head teacher. Obviously, that's probably something you want to avoid. So I would suggest doing this. And all you have to do is for each class, so each class teacher, or if you're an ICT lead and you want to do this on their behalf, you click on the class, and that is then going to, I've already configured this class, but if it isn't configured, so I'm just going to try and find one that isn't configured. Here we go. So this one isn't configured. So that means my parents can message any teacher. So to fine tune that, I would go to choose. And as you can see in the top right, it says hold control to add to select multiple users. So it might be that I want them to be able to message me. And for example, I might have Mrs. Wilkes, who's my classroom assistant, for example, and I want her to be able to send messages and them to respond. It would help if I hit control, wouldn't it? And there we go. So we've multiply selected that, and I can click OK. And that now has narrowed that down to just 2 teachers for that particular class. So as I said, I would suggest doing that. For some of you that are from really small schools, that might not be a concern. But you might just want to remove access to the, as I said, the principal or the head teacher for all parents. Allow parents to view child files and work if you are using journal, and as soon as you create a journal, that will remove access to the child's My Files. If you choose not to use journal, the parents would have access to the child's My Files area. So you can switch that off. So it really depends on if you're using journal or not. You can switch off access to the journal. So if you don't want parents to view that, you can also remove access to commenting on the journal. Again, in our Scottish authorities, that is a blanket switch off. So I'm sorry, but you can't do that. Allow parents to view learning conversations. So if they have access to the My Files area, you might want to switch off the option to see the learning conversations. And then finally, allow parents to view J2 stars. So if you're not using it, or you just don't want them seeing what's being awarded, you want it just as a classroom management tool, you can switch off access to that. Then lastly, you really do need to make all stakeholders aware of this. If you're using the messaging service, there is a log of all of the messages that come in and go out. Even deleted messages are logged in the J2 message log. So you do need to make teachers, pupils and parents aware that that is there. Now, I do have an acceptable usage policy that will stipulate that, and I'm more than happy to share that in the chat if that's something that would be helpful. I've also got a PDF parents guide that you can send out to parents, and I'm happy to put that in the chat later. If someone just reminds me, I will send that out and you can use that. Okay, so that's the boring bit done. But as you can see, there's lots of ways that you can personalize this specifically for your school. Then, so I'm going to advance my slide. So that's all of the messaging options. Then we've got two methods of linking our parents. So staying within J2 dashboard, you have the parents tab here. Now we have QR codes that you can send out and we have email invites. Again, with our Scottish colleagues, if you are out there, you are only allowed to use the email invite because it has been deemed the most e-safe, GDPR compliant method. I believe you can use QR codes, but you have to keep them in school. So parents have to come into school to scan them. So you retain control over those. So that's just a little reminder. So as I said, there's two ways. We can create a QR code or we can invite via email. So to generate QR codes for your class, it's got this big create QR code button up here. So we choose which class we want out of the list. So I'm going to choose class 1 and then we click this create QR codes button and that will generate your whole class worth of QR codes. So you then cut these up and send them home. Now they are valid for a month, as you can see. It will tell you when it expires. And the idea is that parent will scan this QR code and that will then link them up to their parent portal account. Let me just go back to the dashboard. There we go. Okay. Parents will receive one QR code per child. So for example, if they have 3 QR codes, if they have 3 children, they would receive 3 QR codes. A QR code can be scanned by multiple people. So for example, if you send it home, mum and dad or mum and stepdad or foster carers can both scan that QR code and they scan the same QR code. Of course, you can print it off twice and send it to separate homes if that is an issue as well. So that QR code would be the same, but you can send it out and they would scan that. Okay. Now linking via email. So from our dashboard, you have this button that says invite parent. So you click on that and then you just manually type the email address in this box here. And then you click the invite button. Okay, so simple enough. And that will send out an invite. So the parents or carers will receive an email inviting them to register for a parent portal account. So to register, they need to click on that connect to your child, and that's going to take them directly to the registration page. An invite needs to be sent out for each of their children in school. So much like the QR code, you need to print off a QR code per child. With the email, you need to send an email for each child that they have in school. So if they've got 3 children, you'd go into each child's area on the parent portal and send out that email from each child. Okay. The registration page looks like this. So all parents who will be invited to the parent portal will need to register for a parent portal account. So if they've been invited by email, they will get that email that they click connect and it will take them to the registration page. If they're scanning a QR code, it will just take them directly to this registration page. So this only needs to be done once. So with the first QR code that they've scanned or the first email that they've opened, they will just register once. Then with the subsequent children, they would then either scan the QR code or click on the email link and it will link all the children together. So they don't need to register 3 times. They just register once and then it links it quite quickly. Okay. Now, once they are, I'm just going to explain this page here because it can look a little bit confusing, but it's quite simple once you understand it. In this box here, the invited, this shows me either a QR code, and it will be listed with code, okay? And if I scan down, you can see here, we've got an email instead. So that shows me that I've sent an email and which email address it has been sent to, okay? We can revoke access to any of these QR codes. So for example, maybe this has gone home. You can click that X and that means that QR code will no longer work. If it was an email address, you can do the same thing. You can press that X and that link in that email address will no longer work. They'll just get an error code. We can see here that Harry's parent, so once the parent has registered, they will then be listed in this parents column here. So you can see here, I've got quite a few parents that haven't registered yet, that these parents have. So for example, I can see Harry's parent is linked up. So what I can do is I can then revoke access to that code. So it means that because I know that one parent's linked, I just want to make sure that nobody else can scan that QR code. So that is probably best practice, is to then revoke access to that QR code. If a parent, for whatever reason, no longer requires access to the parent portal. So for example, maybe they've sent an abusive message, maybe there's some sort of safeguarding something going on in school and they're no longer allowed to contact or have anything to do with their child, you can click on this X here and that will remove the access to that pupil's account. So if that is the case, obviously, especially if it's safeguarding issues, just remember, if they're linked up to multiple children, you would need to unlink them from each child's account. So again, if they've got 3 children, you would need to unlink that particular parent by clicking that cross from each of those 3 children. So that's quite important to remember. But you do retain power over all the pupils and all the parents that are linked, and all the QR codes and all the emails. Okay. Right. In terms of accessing the parent portal, parents or carers can either access the parent portal via the app. So that's available in the App Store. It's called Just2easy Parent Portal. It is free. We would highly recommend that they do so through the app. It is on the Android and the Apple Store. It will give the parents the best user experience accessing it through the app. It also means they can change things like notifications. So they've got this settings button up here in the app. So they can switch on push notifications for all of the tools within the parent portal, and also email notifications. So there's no excuse for them to go unnotified of messages or things appearing on j2journal or j2 homework. Alternatively, they can go via parent.j2e.com. And that is how I'm showcasing it to you. So I'm showing you the desktop version, but this is what the app version looks like. So that's the 2 different ways that they can access the site. So as I said, this is the parent's view. So they can see the homework tasks, J2 stars, j2journal upload, and the messaging service. So I can't remember what we started with. Let's start with messaging parents. Okay, so we're going to do it from a teacher perspective first. I'm rapidly running out of time. I'm clearly chatting far too much. Bleary, I will talk about that at the end of the session because I think that is a Sims issue, not an us issue. But I'll answer your question at the end of the session, promise. Right, so messaging parents. So that's done through J2 Message, which is this tool here. Now, this is a teaching tool, and that's how we designed it originally. We actually designed it as part of the pandemic solution. Sorry, I mentioned the P word. I'm sure we've all got PTSD from that time. But we designed it so that teachers could contact pupils. So first and foremost, it is a teaching tool. And actually, when I was trying to teach e-safety way back when, it was very difficult because there was no way of teaching them how to behave online. So this is a nice walled garden environment. You can teach children how they should be communicating online instead of doing the whole what you shouldn't be. So just bear that in mind as a teaching tool. But you can see here we've got a different discussion boards. If I click on any of these classes, so for example, class 5, I've got no connected parents in any of the class, clearly. There we go, class 2. So you'll see when I click on class 2, I've got this parents discussion board as a kind of sub discussion board. So if I want to message all parents and carers, I click on this and it will show me class 1 parents and carers, and that is who I am messaging. So we could say, I don't know, inset day tomorrow. I think like a bit of forward warning, eh? You can add attachments. So it might be a school newsletter, for example. It might just be something that you've done in class that day. You've got the record audio. So if you've got children or parents that struggle with reading, you can record an audio, or you can convert speech to text, and then we can hit send, and that is going to send. So you can see there. Now I've just had a notification on my phone because I've had a new message, so I've got my push notification switched on for my parent portal. You can message parents individually, and this is probably isn't overly obvious, but if I zoom in over here, you've got these 3 grey people. And that allows me to then search. So I could look for Lottie, for example, and I can find Lottie, and there's the parent that is connected. If you have multiple parents, they will be listed. Now we've purposely chosen to keep those separate just because obviously some schools are dealing with separated parents that aren't getting on. So unfortunately you would need to message them individually, but that's probably easier. And then I can message directly. I could say Lottie had a great day, for example, and hit send, and that would send directly to Lottie's parent, to Nicola Kimball. So to show you on the parent portal, if I refresh her page, she's now got 3 messages in the top right, and it will be listed. So can you see here we've restricted which teachers she can contact. Class 1 has got 2 messages and an individual message from Miss Kimball. So let's have a look at the class 1. So we can see here, inset day tomorrow. Now for a parent to reply, if you have that switched on, they press this button here. So this isn't probably that obvious, but they click on this, and that then takes it from a class discussion to a one-to-one discussion. So I'll show you that in a second. If I click on Miss Kimball J2E, that shows me that individual message that we've just sent. Okay, so again, the parent can reply using that button there, and they can reply to that message. Now, if I go to class 1, and if I want to reply to this, if I click on this, you can see that's taken that directly to that one-to-one message. It's quoted the message that we're responding to, and we could say, thanks, is holiday club open. There we go, and we can hit send, and as a teacher we get a notification that that has come in as well. I don't know why that's jumped to the top. There we go. So that's how we message parents and carers. We can see that response has come through, and there we go. And so we can to and fro, we can comment. So that's the messaging. Parents uploading work. Now this can be done via the upload button. So if I go back, we've got the upload button here. So this will look the same on a desktop or the app. The only difference is when we click choose files, obviously that's going to open up into my hard drive. For an app, that would then showcase this page here. So you'd have the photo library, take photo, video, or choose file, so they can select those for them. And that would then upload into the child's My Files area. Now, just make parents aware once they've uploaded any content into that, the delete option is switched off. So they can't delete anything they've uploaded, so for them to just be careful when they're uploading content. So that is an option if they want to, share files for whatever reason. Maybe they're showcasing what they did over the summer holidays and they want to share some photos. They can do that there. Now that, when it is uploaded, will show in the child's My Files, which as a teacher you can access through the Pupil Files area. So if we look at class 1, for example, I'm going to look at Lottie. If I scroll down, you can see here, Lottie, Nicola Kimball. So that's showing me that a parent has uploaded that content. So you do know when it is a parent as opposed to a pupil creating and saving content. So if I scroll down a little bit or a lot further, clearly I haven't done this very often. So there we go. So we've got notification, and we know that is not created by the child. J2 Webby. This is so this is a legacy tool for us, really. So it's in the parent portal at the moment. This is what we used to use before we created Journal. So this is a public facing version of Journal written in WordPress, if anybody's familiar with WordPress. So this is your class blog site. So you do still have the option to use this if you wanted to. It is a nice way of publishing content, and it works in a very similar way to Journal in that we can push content. So if I find something from my files, so for example, we did this coding today. I've got this option to publish here. So this is my J2 Webby button. I can choose which class blog site I want to publish to, and I can click publish to Webby. Works in exactly the same way. It is just a public facing forum as opposed to a closed forum, which j2journal is. So j2journal is only visible internally. J2 Webby is visible, it's in the public domain. Which is why we're slightly moving away from this. But some schools do still use it. So that's why it is still in the parent portal. Parents will just see a blank site. If you're not using it, they'll just see a blank site and they probably won't open it again. J2 Stars, if you're using it, this is a pupil reward system. So the parents would be able to see. Nope, that's the wrong one. Here we go. So J2 Stars is here. So this is any star that a teacher has awarded that pupil. So they can see the total there. They can see the child's avatar, and they can see what they've been awarded, and any feedback will be written in yellow. So it's just a nice overview of what's going in school. I've just noticed they do this. They add things in without telling me. You've got your notifications there as well, so that's nice. The parents will be able to see notifications in a central location. So that is that little bell up there, which has been published in the last few hours. So that is J2 Stars. Sorry, I'm just aware of timing, and I've really not timed this particularly well today. J2 Homework, if you're using it, again, the parents would have visibility over this. They would just have a view-only view of this. So if we go back, homework is here. So it is designed for the parents to have an awareness of what's going on and what's being set. They're not able to complete it through this. So the idea is that the child would need to log in and complete the homework through their account. So if I click All About Me, that shows me the activity. So this is a library activity. You'll notice there's no mark as completed button. We can see the set date, the due date, and which teacher has set that. So it is just designed to highlight what is outstanding. So the child would then need to log into their account to complete that. Oh, there we go. I thought we had more to go, but we don't. So in terms of contacting us, you can contact us at edteam@j2e.com. We're on Facebook and X. We may possibly be on more social medias in the future. We're just looking at Blue Sky. So we'll probably be on that very soon if you are using Blue Sky. And also our YouTube channel is Just2easy TV. So that's quite an important one. I'm just going to show that to you. Here we go. This is our YouTube channel. All of these webinars are being recorded, including this one, and it will be uploaded to this playlist here, which is webinars 24-25. We've also got the live lesson recordings. So we've done 2 live lessons this week, going for 3, and they are, the schedule coming up is under that live lessons section there. Right, I'm going to answer. I have seen there's some questions come in, so I'm going to answer those questions. For those of you that are done, thank you ever so much for attending. Please feel free to add any more questions into the chat and I will go through them as I can.